Welcome everyone to another episode of Yollab Central. Today I have Nathan McFarlane joining me today on this episode. So Nathan, would you like to tell everyone why should everyone be excited about our conversation today?
Thanks for having me. And I think there's only one way of expressing that, and that's I'm on everyone's mission, or should be everyone's mission, which is to raise the collective consciousness of humanity. So we're doing it together with my colleagues, building a social commerce platform to get some further information out there to ensure people understand the way the world works, and we can build a far more equitable financial system through it. So I'm excited to share my thoughts and where we're at with that, and yeah, it should be interesting to have a chat.
So Nathan, I did check out you created Creatria, the social commerce platform that you're talking about. So could you
Mhm.
tell us more about how it is different from the other social media platforms that people are using, or creators are using, brands are using, and then uh, what's the value that you're creating on that one? What's making it different?
Yeah. So the way that I think the key thing to understand is to go through my journey and how I got there. So I was a content creator. I worked in financial services. So I was an investment broker and a financial advisor, understood how the financial system works. I was selling products and aiding people in their financial solutions. And really, I didn't really like the way the entire financial system worked. The
Yeah.
longer I was in the industry, the more I realized it was absolute BS and that it didn't serve the people, only served the pockets of the larger corporations and the advisors, inverted commas, advising. So I started creating content online. I went viral, and over 30 million views on my videos. But I realized the only way I could monetize was to continue to sell the BS in the first place. So there was a clear issue that needed to be fixed, which was people wanted to hear and see authenticity, but we needed to find a way where I didn't have to go out and sell what was sold inside the existing system. Um, so we built Creatria, a social commerce platform, but in a way where we could provide the monetization elements for creators so that they could ensure they could create. So we have over 12 million products, 20,000 affiliate solutions. But the key thing is the model that we put in place to ensure that users could monetize not just from the content they created, but from the value that they brought to the site. The value, what we mean by that in regards to the value they brought to the site, is every user of a social media platform has a value. And generally, what happens currently is that value is taken via data and given to the large tech corporations. And the existing tech corporations use an advertising model which they completely control. At any given time, 4% of the entire United States GDP runs through online marketing. And all that realistically happens is that money goes from one corporation to another corporation to another corporation to another corporation. And it might trickle back to the person on the bottom, but that immediately goes back up to the other corporation. So the entire system's been hijacked, where the corporations, largely US corporations, control the entirety of the internet, whether that be through social media for the big social media companies or through e-commerce through the e-commerce companies. So we're seeing this convergence of social media and e-commerce. The market is expected to grow in the next 12 years to $2.71 trillion, which is 12 times the amount it currently is. So we're at this crossing point of whether or not we continue in the existing system where there's further more and more corporate control and less purchasing power for individuals, which is not good for anyone, or we move to a system where, as a community, we take the value from one another. So, right, what I mean by that is, for example, if you come through my link to sign up to Creatria, I've brought the value to the site, not necessarily through my content, but through knowing you, whether that's knowing you from social media or knowing you as my friend, whatever. Your expenditure typically on the internet would then, as using internet, whether you're using search engines, social media platforms, e-commerce, will end up going to those companies normally. But
Yeah.
in our model, it goes to the person that referred you. Okay, so you're transferring the value of your viewership in any vertical to the users of the application, and in turn creating a new financial ecosystem, which we are building, where money can be essentially used inside smaller markets and avoid the existing system of advertising, which benefits the larger corporations and not the people. And that's what we're aiming and setting out to do.
Um, But again, in Crux, aren't there already a lot of affiliate marketing platforms that are there where creators are actually using these platforms, even from existing social media platforms that they have, and their creator platforms that they're using, and then using it to direct their followers and subscribers to uh, one of the products that they're probably promoting via an affiliate link, and then the company gives them a part of the revenue, right? So
Yeah, of course. Yeah. So, I mean, like there are creators out there with large followings, and brands approach them with specific offerings. Now, that's great if you've got lots and lots of millions of followers. Super.
right.
You'll get approached by brands, and you can monetize in that vertical. So if I'm talking about travel, let's say, and Emirates Airlines, let's say, as an example, approaches me, or an airline approaches me, and they say they want me to promote their airline. Okay, great. That's awesome. So, firstly, they're only going to approach a narrow amount of people because there's a massive difference in the market in creators that earn it don't. 59% of content creators don't earn anything,
Yeah.
and the 41%
Right.
too, over half of them earn less than $10,000 a year.
Right.
So there's a very small proportion of a market that earns a small proportion of the wealth. And if we've already established that the market is going to 12x in the next 12 years, that's the projection. I believe it's going to be more.
Yeah.
Then there's a large pool of money which now potentially already with the existing model could be eaten up in a way to go towards the people, but also in the future growth of it. So we're not looking at big creators with millions of followers. That's great for us. But we actually want your average Joe on the street, when they post a photo or a video, having the ability to monetize. We also want the average Joe on the street to be able to refer their people to the site, and rather than using the existing system, which benefits the corporations, benefit that individual. Ask yourself the question: when your mum, your dad, your sister, your brother, your best friend buys anything online, do you earn any money?
Of course not.
Well, now you do. And that's the reality. So through our model, you're bringing your community to the future of social commerce, and by doing so, you're taking the future of that piece of the pie. With typical affiliate links, it's a one-time thing, which is great, awesome, super. But one-time things don't create wealth, right? And there's a reason why it's a one-time thing, because the corporations want to maximize their profits.
Right.
So we're not interested in maximizing our profits. We're interested in creating a far more equitable system, which in turn will that be beneficial for Creatria? Yeah, but what our actual consideration is, it's going to be better for humanity because there's going to be more purchasing power to individuals out there, particularly for any country outside of the United States. This is much more interesting because the reality is the US corporations control the entire, at least the Western world and the majority of the world, control a large proportion of what goes on the internet. So, I mean, how's that beneficial for your average Joe on the street? Your average Joe in, I don't know, well, I'm in Thailand right now. So, your average Joe in Thailand, does it benefit him that Google is taking that advertising revenue, or would it have actually
Yeah.
be better served by spreading it across the people who could have spent it in the country of origin?
Right.
I think it's kind of obvious, really, isn't it? There's an unfair, inequitable system which is actually taking wealth away from the people, which actually reduces the quality of life in countries outside of where that wealth is going. So we're looking to be able to distribute it in a more fairer way where it's beneficial for the people.
So, since we've talked about this, we are talking about the average Joe, right? I'll probably want to take you back to the day where you were probably an average Joe on the street, and
I
then
still am, mate. I still am. I'm always an average Joe. I'm not. There's no change in me. It's just I just seen the world and got the scars from it.
yeah. So basically, I want you to tell everyone as to how you grew your channel on YouTube. I see that you've been talking constantly about XRP and other cryptocurrencies and financial practices.
Yeah.
But then how
Yeah.
did you get on to that specific idea, and what clicked for your audience?
Okay, so like XRP is just one proportion. I
Yeah.
know on
Yeah.
YouTube I've talked a lot about it. I think, it's one in my YouTube channels, it's one layer of thinking of where I feel the financial system goes. And that's one layer. The reality, it's very simple. Banks absolutely screw the average individual over. Transactions can process instantly. Transactions can cross borders instantly. Why on earth are banks taking 5 days and keeping the people's money? Why are they charging ridiculous exchange rates? Why are we waiting for weeks or days on end to confirm transactions when they can be confirmed in seconds? And just by that technology alone, it has so many other further implications. Meaning, for example, if something can be using distributed ledger technology, if something can essentially be settled instantly, it means every transaction can be settled instantly. A purchase of a house could be settled instantly using, having contracts in between, smart contracts.
Yeah.
Everything, every asset there is out there could be put on the blockchain. Every investment out there could be put on the blockchain. Everything can transact instantly and move in and out of any different asset in any second. Now, if you understand how the world's financial system is built, which is built on a pile of essentially the biggest Ponzi scheme in history, a bubble of air where the money just printed out of thin air. Eventually, it's going to pop, and when it pops, the world is going to require liquidity, and that particular technology means there could be instant liquidity. For example, if you try to sell a house right now,
Yeah.
how long is it going to take you to get the proceeds for that house?
Right now in India, it is fairly instant, 1 day at max.
Okay, well, in the UK, for example, it could take months.
Okay.
Yeah. So how long does it take, or how long does it take to buy out of a stock? Sometimes you gotta wait T plus three working days, 5 working days
Yeah.
to buy out of these things. When the system crumbles, and it will at some point,
Yeah.
everything's got to happen instantly. So there needs to be a technology, and the powers that be at the top are going to know that this system is crumbling and know we're going to move into another system. We need to ensure when that happens, there's a technology in place to make it as swiftly seamless, as much as we say swiftly seamless as possible, right? And the only way you can do that is to be able to move in and out of assets instantly at any given time. So the future of money is instant transactions in every vertical. The future of money and any asset is tokenization. The future of money is through smart contracts. The future of money and any asset is on the blockchain, which, if the world goes down that route without corporate control, and that's very important, without corporate control, then we're moving towards a fantastic world. What you need to understand is the corporates want this, right? Because there's an illusion that, this switch of technology and the switch of money system, okay, it's got to happen. The corporations already understand this has got to happen, and they're positioning themselves to ensure they actually have more power than what they do right now, right? So at the moment, there's one big thing that could potentially always happen, and which the existing powers that we don't want, is a run on a bank. Everyone tried to get their money out of the bank tomorrow, the money isn't there. It's not there. They don't have it. But if you could use technology where money could move directly out of one asset to another to provide something, and you have a cashless society, which is what they're looking for, then you don't have that issue. The banks definitively, or the institutions at the top definitively, don't have that problem that they currently have. The smaller banks are still going to get eaten up. The smaller banks are going to will come to nothing, or they'll get eaten up by the bigger banks. You have smaller, bigger banks in every country, but the distributed ledger technology solves the problem where potentially run on the banks could occur. Once everything's in place, you can buy in and out of assets instantly with no issues which are frictionless. Then at that point in time, the system has a larger control due to those corporations and banks having. It's going to happen either way. But if we're conscious of knowing that actually by tokenizing everything, by everything being on the blockchain, things can become far more transparent. The key thing, we need to have this decentralized element, not just
But
centralized.
see, transparency, but what about the inherent opaqueness in the system of, say, cryptocurrency?
What do you mean?
Um, my understanding might be limited, but then again, the anonymity of money moving, right, is probably what scares the government. So how do you?
There is no, that's an illusion. That's an illusion. Like anonymity currently exists now with cash. With cashless society through blockchain technologies, every transaction is trackable.
Yeah,
Okay, it doesn't
it's
have your
trackable,
name
yeah.
written on it, but it's on the blockchain, so we know where it's come from. So no, that's an illusion.
Mhm.
What isn't necessarily good for the existing system is a decentralized element. So you can still have cryptocurrencies or blockchain technologies that are centralized in capacity, which do what's needed. And then you've got a decentralized element. So what I think the future should be is a combination of both, but at the forefront, decentralized technologies.
Yeah.
For example, decentralized voting systems, right? Everyone gets to vote.
Yes.
Everyone votes
That
via
is very
the
important.
blockchain,
Yeah.
right? Like these simple things, right? So there is far more transparency available. And I think what we need to focus on is moving away from the existing power structures is key. Bringing money to the people is key, and ensuring that corporate control is not at the forefront of our society. Because with the transition of the existing financial system to what we're coming to, there is a chance that there could be far greater corporate control, corporate or governmental control. But there is also an opportunity to be the absolute opposite if we are awake enough as a conscious community to understand exactly how these technologies work.
So circling back to your creator days, once you've done all this, but as a creator, right? If there's one tip that you want to give out to someone who's starting out on the creator journey, right? Because you've gone viral, you've got so many views on your videos. If there's one thing that a creator should be looking at from an analytics point of view or from an audience point of view, what would you suggest them?
Consistency. Like you have to be like I've gone through periods of time where I focus more on building my application and stop creating content, and then have to start all over again. You know, it's almost you've got to get to a point where your content is you're doing your content every day is like brushing your teeth. That's where you've really got to get to, and then naturally as time goes on, your content will improve, your execution will get better, you'll build a larger following, you'll get more views, and from there, then you should get the benefits from that accordingly. I'd say consistency is definitely the most important thing.
But even when it comes to consistency, there's this one thing that you do every day, and then also the topic of the content. You've dabbled in multiple topics, so that is why I wanted to understand. Is it necessary to cycle through topics? Should we be sticking to one or deep diving in to become an expert in the field on social media, or how should it be?
Define what an expert is, right? Everyone's got the great thing about content creation is it's just opinions, right? So everything in this world is an opinion. If
Yeah.
you watch the news, it's an opinion, probably an opinion which is influenced by the government of the country or corporate interests of the country, right? It's someone's opinion that is filtered down. With social media, you got individuals just like myself. I have an opinion on things based on the information I know. I'm going to give my opinion. So I think if you have a expertise in a certain area, I think it's far more beneficial to focus on that area. But my journey as a content creator kind of evolved over time. I started with my expertise, which was finance, but as I delved deeper into it and the economics behind everything, which linked to politics, which you got to understand the last 5 years has kind of been a massive change. And the more things I looked into politics, economics, understanding the shift in systems, my own personal journey of my own personal growth in consciousness.
Yeah.
I started to look at things in a far more macro level, a higher based level, and as a broad spectrum, rather than, you know, my first video was like, have you got credit card problems? This is what you need to do. Oh, you're transferring money. These are the costs. That is very micro level, right? For me, everything is a macro level in my specific sphere. And above the macro level of my specific sphere, I understand how the financial system, the political system, the existing governmental structure that we have that's been in place for the last 100+ years, the financial system in particular, reduces and suppresses the collective consciousness of humanity. And that, to me, is the only thing that matters. And it should be the only thing that matters, because I always link it in this understanding. When people don't really understand what do I mean by that, if you have a child, what do you want for your child? You want your child to be more educated, better understanding, do better than you in the world, right? The next generation.
Right.
Well, okay, well, what is do better? The way that we've framed the do better is be more successful. And like, oh, what's be more successful? Make money. What? Making money is being successful? Really? What? Are you still on the idea that you need to buy a nice fancy car or you need to have a nice house? If anyone's got to any decent level of consciousness, they should realize that material things do not matter at all.
Right.
Doing good for others, living by your truth, absolutely, they are the principles and foundations of what the way we should live. Okay, so then what is success? Well, then success is therefore driven by a raising level of consciousness of you understanding that, right? Okay, then, so we've just established, if that's what you want for your children and that's the number one thing, why would you not want that for the entirety of humanity?
You're right.
And that's how it you know, it's the linking of my understanding in the financial system, the power structure, the political system, the ups and downs of the changing of world order, and then linking it to my own personal growth as a human being, and then understanding that it's all intertwined. I asked DeepSeek a question about linking how, if you did you check this on my TikTok? If you go to my TikTok,
No,
you'll be able to see a transcript of DeepSeek. And basically, I asked it a question, basically something along the lines of, please explain how the existing financial system suppresses the collective consciousness of humanity. And then using David R. Hawking's map of consciousness, place a number on where the world sits now because of the financial system, and where it would if we had a financial system which was driven in a decentralized way, where humanity was put first. And now give me the difference in what we see as a world now to what the world would be if we had that system as a numerical value. And it comes back with basically saying that the world would be 1 million times higher on a collective level than it is currently. I mean, I've tried to sum that up, right? But the reality is that is the only goal, the betterment of humanity. And then what we don't know, we only see 0.000001% through this physical world. 99.9999999 is frequency around us, and we don't see it. So what we potentially can do if we raise our own collective consciousness looking away from the physical, away from the structures that are created by consumerism, we actually might start to understand what we really truly are. And to me, isn't that the goal? Isn't that the goal of everything? And then to me, then I always say, and I've said this in another podcast today, they say, so what is the goal? What is the thing you should leave everyone? I'm like, well, everyone should be on a mission to raise the collective consciousness of humanity. The rest is BS. That's it. And it all links down to the financial system, because the financial system is what suppresses everyone and the way we are. And then it suppresses, and then it divides, right? It divides. Because I was born in the UK, because I'm a white guy and I have a privilege, inverted privilege, half of the world doesn't like me because of just where I'm from. Why? Well, that's a division created by a power and financial structure. That division should never occur, because we're all just human beings of the same origin.
Yeah. You're partly correct on that. So, uh,
It's just the reality, isn't it? And I accept it. It doesn't, if once you start to separate from the lower levels of what of understanding, you understand why these things occur. I don't get offended by things. I don't get annoyed about things because I understand why they happen. I understand why each and every one of us looks at the world in a certain way. And all that I can do is using my skill set. And generally, I believe my skill set is my voice and my voice and what I've understood throughout my life to be able to place that voice onto others to maybe think others to go, oh yeah, haven't thought about that. And then that little neural pathway that I've just opened for them could open them up to their skill set one step further and then to spread their message. But every time I go back to it, all that's happening is as the collective consciousness raises, the entire planet raises, the entire planet's consciousness raises with it. And that simply is incomprehensible to me or anyone else on this planet right now.
I mean, yeah, I mean, a few things jump out of over my head, but then yeah, a lot of it makes sense. I won't disagree to that. And so, thanks for your time, Nathan. I mean, it's been a great chat, and I hope the audience also likes it. Yeah, to the audience, if you have any comments, drop them in the comments below. And if you like the video, give it a like and share it with your friends and family who would agree and would like to join this revolution. Thank you so much, Nathan. Thanks for your time.
Thanks, guys. Thank you very much, mate. Cheers.